And everyone thinks that we're those elitist type mentality, and when we're not. We're just a bunch of, down-to-earth people that want an alternative for our kids. From a Christian school, from a K-12 perspective, we're about the second or third largest in Indiana, period.
Welcome back to another episode of Andy's Talk. Today I'm joined by the high school principal of Christian Academy of Indiana, the school that I actually graduated from. Scott, how are you doing today? I guess I can call you Scott now.
Yeah, no problem.
Graduated, so
we weren't even there at the same time.
I know.
Doing great today.
It still
beautiful
feels
day
weird,
outside.
Mr. Luttrull. There we go. That feels better.
I'll take it.
Okay. So tell me, how's life? How are you guys doing? How's the school going? You're almost through that first semester.
Yeah, it's going well. God has really blessed us this year, so we saw a significant increase, probably about 20%. In our enrollment this year alone. So that's created some interesting logistical things that we're working through. But from a school perspective, God also blessed, and we had a significant retention of faculty. And so that really helps culture continue on. Man, we have such a good culture that we work hard to keep, to where our students find things that they enjoy. And when they find things that they enjoy coming to school.
Yeah.
Still school. You're still going to English. You're still going to biology, all of that. But for the most part, it's just another school year, rolling right along with new kids.
What year did you come to Christian Academy? Because like you said, you were never my principal, but was it 2018 that you came in?
No, it was 2020, actually.
Oh, that's a great year to start to be a principal.
So I am literally sitting at a track meet in Athens, Alabama on Friday, March 13th. If anybody knows their history, that is when everybody shut down school.
It's the big day.
Yeah, and so my phone is blowing up because the governor of Alabama had shut down school. We're not going back for 2 weeks. It'll be okay. And so at that track meet, Darren Long, now superintendent, calls me. And so we ended up having a conversation, and he offered me the job then. And then I moved here in late May. And that was an adventure, trying to figure out my first year in COVID. Didn't know anybody. Everyone's wearing masks. Can't figure out which kid is which.
Yeah.
Trying to fight the battle of, everyone's opinions of COVID. So that I showed up, and I'm a Hoosier by birth, born and raised up north of Indianapolis in the Anderson, Ball State area. So it was great coming back up north. We loved the South. It was a great time, but we are not Southerners. And so it was good to get back toward family, back in that Hoosier lifestyle.
Did you know Darren Long before that, or
Not
you
at all.
applied, or how did that work?
So God started leading us to look for another opportunity. We loved the school we were at down there.
Was it
But
another
again,
Christian school?
it was.
Okay.
And so I had spent 7 years in Covington, Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati, moved to northern Alabama for 3 years, right outside of Huntsville, and then just started looking to see what happened. And I had never even heard of New Albany before. I found the job posting online. I applied, and then a couple weeks later, I got a phone call. I didn't even know the school. I knew that Christian Academy of Louisville, our sister school, existed, but I didn't know that this school even existed. And so I didn't know a soul in New Albany whatsoever when I moved here. It was an adventure for sure. And I had two small children at the time, a 2 and a 4-year-old. But we were also moving, trying to get them acclimated to the area, and everything was shut down.
Yeah.
So we couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. Just got to hang out all summer in our backyard.
So far, you liking Southern Indiana?
I do. For those of you that know the Southern Indiana, this is not the South. This is the Midwest. And this is not Louisville either.
No.
It's a whole different feel. And I feel at home. What I love is that in 15 minutes, I can be downtown if I want to, or I can be in the sticks. I can be in a rural area. And I grew up in farmland. I got a 5,000 person hometown that I grew up in. So Southern Indiana definitely is where I belong. These are my people here.
Even in our marketing here, we have a completely different marketing
sure.
plan for Kentucky than we do. It's like two separate.
Yes.
I always joke that you got to get your passport out to go over there and cross the bridge.
You do. I don't like to cross the river if I have to.
No.
Definitely not paying a toll.
No, we're not doing that. So Christian Academy is super exciting. Once this comes out, the night before this comes out, I was bringing my own son to an open house, which is just crazy.
Saw you there.
It's crazy. What are some things that Christian Academy has to offer? Normally, these podcasts are like a business spotlight that says, "Hey, how can we help your business?" Christian Academy is growing, and it's a cool experience.
Yes.
So, what are you guys offering? I know you kind of talked about the mission trips. Tell us about that. Some new courses.
Okay.
My brother's there. He's telling me about some business classes.
Absolutely.
It's super cool. So, tell us about that.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we have learned is as we've grown, we've been able to do more things. When you're a smaller Christian school, you have a different feel, but you're limited in your electives, you're limited in your extracurriculars. And so some of the things that we're doing this year that we're excited about, we are offering some more, we call them pathways. The state of Indiana's got some different things they're pushing right now, but that's something that we've started to embrace. We are a college prep school, but we also know that all of our students are unique and different. Some want to go into the trades and some want to go into the military. And so we're really pushing that. We've learned in Indiana, the state of Indiana has about a 50% rate of students graduating and then going to college the next year. 50% of our students aren't going to college, so how can we work on that? So that's the business classes. We've offered more computer classes this year, different clubs that are also developing. So some of the other reasons that we love Christian education is because philosophically it is just different. I'm a product of Christian education like you are. My parents were both Christian school teachers, and so it was all I ever knew. Well, I married a woman that has a very different experience. She went to the largest public school in Cincinnati, graduated with 900 people. And her parents have often talked about how it's just a different world that we are getting now compared to what they have. And so we know the schools here in Southern Indiana are good schools. We are not anti-public school. I mean, those are our neighbors. Those are our friends. Those are our coworkers one day. We want the public schools to be successful. But it comes to the idea that philosophically, we are just different. Our ultimate goal is to help our students develop what we call a biblical worldview. We all know the world is crazy around us. And whether it doesn't matter what side of any it doesn't matter what side of any specific incident that you're on, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to teach our kids that when you look at the world around you, we want you to see it as the Bible says it exists and as God says it exists. So with our students, they're getting bombarded with social media like crazy. Movie, music, TV, everything is telling them what is real, what is normal, what is true. And so what we're trying to do is present an alternative to say, this is what the Bible says it is. And so we are very upfront. You heard it last night. We're upfront. This is our goal. Now, we are going to educate you at a high level. We're going to be competitive in our sports. Our fine arts program is amazing. We're going to do all of that, but it's all going to be done in that idea that we are working to make you a better person because of what Christ has done for you instead of trying to make you a better person so that you can be more successful.
And that's the super cool part is I was involved in a lot, but even back then, pretty successful. But now, how do you balance, like, when you think of a small Christian school, you're like, okay, that's the school that, sucks at athletics. That's not the case anymore. And we have thriving teams at every sport. How does that balance work? How do you guys deal with that? Because
that's a great point. A lot of what we deal with is perception. I mean, I'm sure you heard things when you were in high school. Everyone always thinks that we're the private school. And so I saw a great meme one time, and it was like private schools, and it had a water fountain with a little like slice of lemon on it. And everyone thinks that we're those elitist type mentality, and when we're not. We're just a bunch of, down-to-earth people that want an alternative for our kids. And as we've grown, something that I've come to realize is we are pushing that 1A, 2A for sports enrollment number. So from a size perspective, we are at or larger than many of the rural schools in our area that many of your people and your customers are a part of. And so with that, we have seen development and we have seen growth. We try to focus on how can we turn basketball into a growth opportunity? And there are tons of good coaches out there. I know you've talked to several of them on different podcasts as well that are doing that as well. And so we're trying to figure out how can we take a fine arts and a play? How can we take band? How can we take choir? And how can we focus on more than just being excellent for yourself? But the perception still exists. I mean, we're going to prove throughout the next couple of years that we're going to be a tough out for any athletic competition. Our girls are still playing, going to the Elite Eight this weekend. Our boys were a late overtime goal away from playing for a regional final there and for soccer. Basketball is defending sectional champs. We had kids that were running in the state meet the regional meet for cross country. So we got things that are happening on every level.
Archery, Caleb Bedney.
State champion.
Yeah.
First year bringing archery back, state champion. What I love about students like that, though, he's a great example of, and with so many of our students that do multiple things. So if you go to a bigger school, a lot of times you get pigeonholed into one thing. But for us, our archery kids are also doing fine arts, which are also taking AP classes and dual credit things, or in the band. I mean, I remember walking in for the first time ever when I got here into the band room. And I was surprised that the entire back line of my soccer defense, my defensive back line for the soccer team was all playing in the band.
Shout out Alicia.
Yes, exactly. And then I noticed there was the kid that's already been in my office since day one. And that's the kid that I think is going to be valedictorian. And everybody merges together. Why? Because we have a small feel to where we want everybody to grow and develop in different areas.
And that's great. And you talk about, those enrollment numbers coming in. Something that was super big that really wasn't a thing when I was in high school is this voucher system.
Yes.
Explain it in layman's term of what this is.
So probably 10, 12 years ago, Governor, I think it was Mitch Daniels, maybe it was Mike Pence actually, started pushing a school choice program. And so over time, that has developed and morphed. And about 2 or 3 years ago, it modified significantly to affect the vast majority of Hoosiers. So here's the bottom line. If you live in Indiana, which I know that in this area, you have some Louisville people, but if you live in Indiana, a family of 4 can make up to $232,000 a year and still qualify for about a $6,500 voucher per student per year. It is plain and simple. You fill out a form, we look at your taxes, you prove that you're a resident of Indiana, we push a button, and then the state pays us a different amount. It depends on what school district you live in, how much money you get. And so we have it's about 85%, if not 90% of our Indiana families receive that voucher. It works from kindergarten through senior year. And it is just an incredible thing. What that's done is it's really changed the demographic of our school. We have people that have always wanted Christian education, and they find out for a few $100s a month, I can actually get that for my child. And they are blown away. I love it when I have a tour for a prospective student and they don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
They look at me and I was like, yeah, it's real.
You're like a salesman at that
Exactly.
point.
Exactly. I don't have to do much selling anymore because it's so cheap. And we've had several families move over across the river from Louisville into Indiana. And so people are always worried about, is that voucher going to go away every election cycle? The way it's been written into, it's going to be super hard to get rid of it. And the way that majorities are in the state legislature, it's going to be very hard for it ever to go away. And actually, there is talk about even expanding it to get rid of income limits altogether.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of a goal that we're helping push for, to get rid of all income limits. So basically, if you're in Indiana, you're paying taxes.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's your taxes that go with your child. People always worry about we're taking money out of the public schools. That's just not true.
Because you don't get any funding like the public schools do.
Correct.
And
So like property taxes.
Yeah.
For example, my property taxes go to fund the New Albany Floyd County schools. They don't come to my school. But instead, the taxes that we pay, the Indiana taxes, they now follow my child. So my in-laws who live in Indiana, in theory, their taxes are also paying for my child to go in. So what people don't realize is if that money wasn't coming to us, New Albany Floyd County is not getting that money anyway.
Yeah.
That money is just sitting in a separate account in the state house as a surplus fund to do whatever with. It's not taking any money out of the public schools unless my child went to that school. And if my child's not there, that money should follow my child. And I know that's a big debate in a lot of circles, but it's been great for our families.
It's a big misconception too. Because
Huge
a lot of people
misconception.
don't know that.
Correct. And
that's good to know.
Right now, Kentucky's got it on their ballot right now to do it, and it's a mess all the time trying to convince people because there's so much misunderstanding about how it works.
Yeah, that's good to know. So clearly, with everything you just said, plus the vouchers, you were probably busting at the seams with kids. So tell me about the cool project you got going on right in front of the cafeteria.
So pre-COVID, we were looking at around 925 students in our preschool to 12th grade. And then we dipped a little bit like everybody did. COVID was such a weird time, but then we came roaring back as the voucher expansion happened. So this year, we're sitting at about 1,325 students. The building was not made for that many students, and we know that, but it's so hard having somebody that wants Christian education and telling them, hey, we're sorry, we just can't take you. And so that's a balance that we're always trying to find. So a year ago, we started a project in the planning, and I'm learning it's complicated trying to build buildings, but we got a new 27 classroom building that we have broken ground from. We're digging the foundation right now, and that will be its own standalone 5th through 8th grade building. Now, I know a lot of parents are thinking, I don't want my 5th grader anywhere near the 8th grader, and neither do we. And so the first floor is going to be more of an intermediate school where you have 5th and 6th grade, where 5th grade can get a little more experience, 6th grade can get out of the middle school a little bit. We're super excited about that. People love the fact that our 5th grade is elementary, and so we're going to take it up one notch and then kind of lower 6th grade. And then upstairs is going to be 7th and 8th grade as well, and let them run a traditional middle school, junior high up there. So that should be open sometime late fall, beginning of winter of next school year. Which is going to open up us to take another 200 or so kids. And it is super exciting. We also got a couple other things we're working on. We're going to get a new entrance. So anybody that drives down Grant Line Road during morning drop-off and afternoon, you are well aware of Grant Line Road.
There's traffic there in the morning?
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't know
From
that.
the interstate to Walmart, it's terrible. And so we're opening up another road that's going to kick out to Mount Tabor, which is really going to help that traffic flow as well.
I think I saw that. You guys are so Mount Tabor, where's that going to go out of?
So yeah, if you're on the interstate and you're going toward St. Louis, basically toward Georgetown and all of that, the knobs,
you can see it on the left.
You can see it on our building on the left, but then there's also more of a red roof storage company.
Yeah.
So our road will go behind that storage company, basically go parallel them with the interstate and kick out to Bell Lane, which kicks out to Mount Tabor, which will kick you out there to the Circle K and Burger King right there close to the interstate by Mount Tabor Elementary.
So that should help some.
Oh my goodness, it should help a lot.
Yeah. So all of these things, what is the senior class right now?
87 students
That's
in the
hilarious.
senior class.
I graduated 42, so it's funny just to see how the growth.
I went product Christian education. There were 11 in my graduating class. So it's funny listening to these kids talk about how small the school is.
Yeah.
Man, from a Christian school, we are
pretty big.
Yeah, from a Christian school, from a K to 12 perspective, we're about the second or third largest in Indiana. Period.
Yeah.
In our accrediting agency.
Yeah. So if a parent's on teeter-tottering between public school is technically free, but I really want them to have this Christian-based worldview, what are some things you would tell them in this podcast before we end it?
So the biggest thing, it goes back to that whole idea of biblical worldview and what are we trying to do. And so a lot of times we have families that just want to get out of public school because they maybe don't like some of the stuff being taught, and they just want to maybe feel like they belong in a private school. We're going to be a little disappointing to them because we are going to be so focused on the whole child. Academics are important. Fine arts are important. Extracurriculars are important. I love sports. I played sports. I coached middle school basketball for 5 years. I loved it. But we are going to take every opportunity to impact your child on a spiritual level. Discipline, for example. I got students that do foolish things. We live in a fallen world. But we can handle it differently. We approach it differently. We don't just say, here's your detention and walk away. We're going to invest in your child. And so you mentioned Mrs. Schaus. She's one example in that band room of someone that just focuses completely and almost too much on the student development. And she is going to pour into your child. So we're getting surveys back. We're doing some surveys right now from our parents, and over and over again, they're giving shout outs to teachers. There are some phenomenal public school teachers that are even friends of mine. I love that. Our teachers have that different idea that they are free to now talk about their faith, to encourage kids. And when they're mentoring kids, they're doing it from that biblical perspective. Another thing that we have going on that we're excited about, one of my future goals, is to really flesh out that work-based learning program. People often think that these private schools are only college prep and that my child doesn't want to go to college, they can't go there. No, we're really working on trying to figure out how we can get some internships in the next couple of years and apprenticeships and finding different people that will partner up with us for that. I'm a parent just like you are, and I got 2 kids there. And so one of the biggest takeaways that I've learned is that Christian education, I've always talked a big game about how awesome it was, but now that my kids are there and I'm going to these parent-teacher conferences, my kids are coming home, talking about what they learned in chapel or Bible class or just in the day-to-day routine, it really affects me. And I realize that if I can't be around my child for 7 hours every day, I sure as heck better trust the person that I give my child to. I've never realized that until I was a parent. 7 hours, my little 3rd grade girl is out of my control. And how awesome is it to know that the people that are surrounding them, that we're surrounding ourselves with, are in the same like-mindedness of us.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if you guys want to know more, they do have open houses.
Yeah.
You can go to Christian Academy, just type it into caschoolsystems.us.
caschools.us.
I'm close.
Or you just Google Christian Academy of Indiana.
It'll pop up. You can kind of read more about them. They got videos, and the alumni team's doing a great job promoting you guys. And if you guys are interested, go check them out. And like always, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know we post. Check out all of Connor's great content on our social media. It's really funny, and we'll see you next time.